Well, here we are again. A nice bright sunny Sunday morning. Started mashing quite early this morning, so I wanted to get I don't want to say I wanted to get making the beer out of the way, but you know, start these things early. It takes about 6 hours for me to brew end to end with the old Braumeister. So today is a bit of a impromptu, unexpected brew day, actually, to be honest. Plans are changed. Haven't got visitors coming round. I thought, actually, do you know what? Let's just throw something together and see what happens. So I'm currently making a really simple pale, just mostly Marisotta, tiny little bit of crystal, just to balance out the hops, because actually I'm going to throw quite a bit of hops in this. I fancy making a bit of a citrus burst. See, maybe it might last for the summer, might be breeding time for the summer, although, you know, we all know our British summers are kind of over in about a week. So yeah, we'll see. So I'll just show you the recipe here. Oh, the other interesting thing I've been doing recently, and this will become clear in hopefully in a couple of videos time, is I'm playing around with using lots of dried yeast. I've pretty much always used liquid yeast. Some of my other videos, you know, harvest the yeast, starters, reuse it and all this sort of stuff. But events are going to mean that, at least in the first instance, I'm probably going to be using dried yeast a lot. So I'm playing around with different dried yeasts. Now, I have made another beer with a dried yeast that I forgot to video. And that's hopefully going to be a bit of a pseudo lager. All going well. Lager malt, Mangrove Jack's Californian common yeast. So we'll be interested to see how that turns out. Maybe I can do a tasting and stuff for that, as well as the Rosemary Simcoe IPA. But you know, no one knows that's going to come out like. That's just one of those crazy ideas I had. So yeah, so I haven't shown you mashing. I mean, it's 4.5 kilos Marisotta, like 80 grams crystal, 40, and probably about another 80 to 100 grams carapils. Nothing exciting, really simple, but boatloads of hops. I've just got the recipe here actually. Let's just turn you around a sec. So you can see that there. Always tend to write my brew day, what's going on and stuff. These are my mineral additions and the like. And yeah, there you go. It's this bit that's the really good bit. Lots of big citrusy stuff late on. And there's going to be a massive dry hop in this as well. Obviously, fermenters are sterilising away quite nicely. And let's just open this up to see what you're going on. We're just getting into a mash out at the moment, I think. Oh no, actually, I've done this a couple of times before. I'm doing a funny little stepped mash of a certain description where I'm doing it top and bottom end of the range. So I'm just on a pump rest at the moment. So I've actually mashed it for 60 minutes at 61, but then I'm going to do 30 minutes at 67 to try and balance the two out. I call it like my IPA mash, and then with just a 72-degree mash out at the end, and then I'll sparge it as normal. I've actually, I don't know whether I've mentioned this, let me just turn you back around. So I've actually taken to sparging with my Braumeister now, for a couple of reasons. I kept on finding I kept on getting short on boil volume, and I'd end up with some like wickedly strong beer. I've got a beer I need to do a review of that ended up being considerably stronger than anticipated, and actually it's not quite the end beer I was aiming for. You know, 6% odd, I think it came out as, you know, a bit stronger than what I was looking for. So what I've actually started to do now is I sparge with about 5 litres of water straight through the malt pipe, which I might show you later when that's going. And then I also add about another 4 litres of hot water straight out of the kettle, straight into the thing, Braumeister, whatever, on preparation to boil, so I actually get the boil volume up to like 30 litres, because then I find with the boil off, as it comes down over the 70 minutes, I get around about the right volume that I'm looking for. If I don't do that, I'd end up having to top up towards the back end of the boil when it gets really complicated. So I might try and video that and just kind of show you that. I had someone ask me the question the other day about Beersmith and Beersmith profiles for the Braumeister. And if I'm honest, I've never really been able to make Beersmith behave as it should do for Braumeister. I think because of what it is, the way you mash with it is completely different to a normal kind of mash tun lauter and all that sort of stuff. So this is the kind of way with getting the equipment profile on Beersmith right, and doing this, like I just said, you know, sparging with sort of nearly 5 litres of water and then adding another 5 litres, gets it all the numbers bang on. So yeah, cool. So here we are at the sort of back end of normal mashing. Just like I was saying earlier, I've run 60 minutes at 61 and then 30 minutes at 67. I've done this before and it's come out pretty good. So it's a good kind of solid middle of the road kind of IPA, not too crisp but then not too chewy, if you know what I mean. So looking pretty good inside as well. It's clearing up quite nicely, although I think going to mash out will really clear that up, and that'll be absolutely crystal clear. Should be a nice kind of straw coloured pale, hopefully, all going to plan. So yeah, mashing along quite nicely. One thing I'm really surprised about with this, and I guess it's generally, is the amount of grain absorption with the water. It's ridiculous really, the amount of, so I kind of go in at kind of like 23 litres, and what you kind of end up with coming towards the end of mashing, but hence what I was talking about earlier. So yeah, we're getting there. Right, so here we are, mashing's finished. I'm now just letting the malt pipe drain out. You'll notice my little modification. Let me just turn you around a sec so I can just talk you through. So this little modification I do, because I find actually getting the malt pipe higher means I can get more volume in there, which means I get to allow me to do all the necessary bits and pieces. But first things first, as I always like to do, I like to take lots of samples all the way through. So chilling in the freezer is it's time to take a sample before. Oh, I'm gonna have to put you down. I can't do it two-handed. I like to take a sample before I sparge water here, ready to go, and then before I top up. Just helps me track the efficiencies and the difference it makes. So let me just take a sample. Right then, so that's sample taken. Now let's do a bit of sparging. So I'm sure there's way better ways of doing this, especially trying to do it one-handed. But anyway, so we've got 5 litres of water here, trusty old thing, at 78 degrees. So this is hugely scientific, but you know, whatever works. And then, can I see that? Hang on a minute. So yeah, there we go. And then it's usual sparging process. Not too fast, not too slow. Rinsing it all the way out, all the way through. And I find this, hopefully I can still getting that all in shot. Yeah, there we go. I find this knocks up the efficiency massively. Even though the Braumeister is pretty efficient as it is, this does not only do you get an extra 5 litres, but actually a pretty much full strength wort. So I've definitely found it to be worthwhile. Right, without boring you to tears of doing more of this, I'll finish this off and then we'll come back. Exciting watching someone sparge, isn't it? But I've definitely found this is the way to go. And hey, there's more good sugars in there, then why the hell not have them? I found about 5 litres is about the limit. I think you wouldn't want to sparge much more than that. I think you'd run the risk of getting astringency out the grains and yeah, dragging out the husks. So nearly finished. A little couple, about another litre and a half. Good job. So that's us fully sparged now, all done. You probably hear it dripping away. 5 litres run through. The sample I took before I sparged is in the freezer, so I'll take that out, stick it with the hydrometer, take another sample just when that's finished running out, and then I'll top it up. Probably about another 4 odd litres, just dead hot water straight out of the kettle, I think. And then take another sample and that should get me around about 29.5, 30 litres, which is pretty much bang on what I need to end up with 24 litres out of there, allowing for losses post-boil. Job done. So yeah, sparge still running out quite nicely. Already pushed the button to get it to crack on and start working up to boil, because don't want to waste any time. So a little bit further along, kids are just having lunch actually, so I'd nip out and just show you this bit. So sparge is pretty much finished running out now out of the malt pipe. I've taken another sample, which is now just gone into the freezer to cool down, and that will be my post sparge sample. And I'll show you all these numbers afterwards at the end, because I think it's quite interesting to see kind of where the numbers go. And then I've got down here, can I do that? Can I do it? There it is. I've just got about another 4.5 litres, which I'm literally just going to dump straight in the kettle to bring the volume up, which should give me, fingers crossed, when we lift the malt pipe out, I'll have you with me, so you know, there'll be no hiding it. Should have 29.5 litres ready to boil. We're about 90 degrees, so it's quite a warm day, so temperature's rising quite nicely. We'll be into the boil soon, so unfortunately I'm not going to be able to hold you and pour that in, so you just have to trust me. So that's the malt pipe taken off. It's all finished draining out, and we're literally like 99.5 degrees, so we're just about to get the hot break going on. You can just see all the protein and stuff that's built up on the top, and hopefully we should get a really good rolling boil, which should break all of that protein, all that hot break down, so it all flocks out. Getting going quite nicely. Checked the volume, it's around about 29 litres, so I might have to top it up a little bit more, but my final sample is in the freezer just chilling down now, so I'll read that in a minute and then put it onto the sheet and probably show you the 3 or 4 readings I've taken throughout, and it's yeah, it's quite revealing, I think is probably the best way to put it. So there we go, just on there. Is it actually registered at boil yet? No, not quite. So just a little bit more to go, but that is pretty much there. Brilliant. Right, hi again everyone. We're just about reaching mid-boil. Let's see, it's oh hello, there we go. Let's see, just first bitter in addition has gone in, so that was 13 grams of Centennial. I've done my 3 samples now, and I just thought I'd show you the results. I'm missing on a bit of paper, just to show you actually what sort of the sparging and adding of the various volumes of water's done. And actually I'm still above target. I was actually yeah, I was like 3 points still above target even with adding the water I did. So let me just turn it around and I can show you the bit of paper. So you'll see here, I like to do this because this has been really really insightful. So you can see post mash 1046. My target was actually 1039. So even then the efficiency is way up. I sparged with 5 litres of water. Oh hello, reminder going off. Oh, that's for those. Cool. Oh no, shut up. Oh, don't you love it when the iPhone doesn't listen? So yeah, so then I sparged with 5 litres, and actually I ended up with exactly the same concentration of sugars in my wort. So I then topped up with another 4 litres. Oh hello, and that knocked it down to 1042, but still not down to 1039. So still 3 points off. So I think that just shows, you know, actually adding the best part of 9 litres still doesn't quite get it there. Probably another litre probably would have got it to around about 1039. So I'm about to take my mid-boil sample, so I'll probably actually add straight out of the kettle a litre and a bit of straight hot water just to keep it on target. I'm aiming for, there we go, 1045 post-boil. So yeah, that should get me somewhere near there, I think. But yeah, I just thought it was really interesting to show actually the kind of efficiencies you can get with these Braumeisters when you kind of do it this way, particularly to get the boil where you need it. So yeah, there she is boiling away. Mid addition is coming up right now. Look at that. Look. Anyone think I planned this? So we've got 13 grams of Columbus going in, and there she is. Super. Right, acknowledge that so it doesn't beep and annoy the crap out of me. There she goes. Right, moving along nicely. So, I keep rubbing my mouth. Why do I do that? So we're about 20 minutes left of the boil, and what I like to do is I like to actually add my chiller in now, because I noticed that because of the heat take up of the chiller, it can actually make the boil dive a bit. That's the one thing I'll say for these Braumeisters is sudden changes, PID controllers. Not great at dealing with that, so I like to add mine in sooner rather than later, because there's nothing worse in my mind of having a boil that temperature that nosedives just before you finish, or like 10 minutes, because it can take 5 minutes to recover. So I'll add the chiller in, and I'll get you to watch it and see what happens. So I'll just turn you around. So here we go. So you'll notice it's 99 degrees at the moment, which is pretty good. Pretty good boil going. Have done for ages. 99 degrees. So my chiller here. I'll drop the chiller in, and in she goes. And then watch that temperature drop. It's quite surprising, really, but I guess the sort of, is it heat coefficient? I'm not quite sure. I had a few beers last night, so I'm a bit hazy in the head, if I'm honest. But basically, the heat it absorbs really does knock it off. Now, I'm pretty sure the Braumeister will stop registering its boil now, look. And it actually is quite good, really. So it freezes itself, it stops counting on, down to 96.5. Might drop down another half a degree maybe, but actually now that's going to sit there now, and it won't start timing again till it gets back up to 99 degrees, which is, you know, there's a fair bit of metal in this chiller, so it's kind of understandable. But you know, it's these are all little things that I've picked up along the way that's worth bearing in mind. Obviously, if you're brewing on a big commercial kit, you don't have this problem because you're using a plate exchanger. But for us with these, it's and you've got no means of sort of winding the gas hob up. It's worth bearing in mind. So there you go. So hopefully, see, it's started to recover a bit already, but that'll take a little while for it to come up. So yeah, there we go. Things are moving along. So boil's just finished. Just putting the flame out hops, so you can see those there. There you go. So yeah, pretty good. I'm going to let that steep for maybe 30-40 minutes, and then we'll get into chilling and then run it all out. I'll just take everything, have a quick look at a boatload of hops in the kettle, but then yeah, nearly there. I will just show you the yeast rehydration actually. I'll show you that as well in a second. So cool. So everything's had a steep for 45 minutes. So hops in, it's cooled down a bit now, and now we're just going to chill it down, and then we'll go and just prepare the yeast. So final gravity reading, pretty much bang on. I'm not sure if you can just make that out. Maybe 1046. I'd call it pretty much 1045. So it's pretty much bang on. It's interesting that the flocking agent's working already. It's come out a little bit darker than what I hoped, considering I only put like 80 grams of crystal 40 in, so it's a bit of a surprise, but hopefully that'll clean up when it's fermented and flocked out a bit more. So yeah, now let's do the yeast. So everyone alright down there? So for the purposes of this, so we're going to be using Mango Jack's US West Coast dried yeast. It's basically US05 or WLP001 of all the liquid types. This is pretty much it. Now what I tend to do is I tend to hydrate my yeast before I add it rather than adding it dry straight in. I found I get a lot quicker start. This is how I do it. So in here, 100 mils of water that came out of the kettle. Probably a good couple of hours ago. So that's been boiling water, it's cooled with the lid on. And then what I do, take this, take the cover off, dried yeast. This is as kind of pretty sterile as it goes. And then we dump it all in. Make sure we get all of the dried yeast in there. So in she all goes. Then we give it a good stir until it's all kind of at least picked up the water, trying to not spread it all the way around the sides like I have. Make sure we get it all in there. And you mix it until you get kind of like a bit of a milk going on. So it does tend to... Kid messing around with the bin. Until you kind of get all the lumps out. It's a bit of an odd one really. You want to make sure all of the yeast is... Oh, there's youngest in the bin. Good boy. Kids put things in the bin. Until you kind of get it all fully mixed, kind of got all the lumps out, like I'm making a cheese sauce or something like that. So can you see that? So it's all just kind of like a brown kind of liquid, and actually that'll thicken up. So what you do is just let that stand for about sort of quarter of an hour. Hopefully you've seen that. That's kind of good enough. Really good stir. Give the yeast a chance to rehydrate and kind of, oh, there's a little lump there, to kind of wake up before we pitch it. And give it a chance to kind of equalise. I've had the packet out of the fridge for a while, so quick check. The lumps. It smells just like bread yeast actually. Better not be, but it smells just like it. Right, so that's now all hydrated, all nicely mixed in. A little lump there just to get. It's all now nicely hydrated. Right, I'll pop the cover back on it again. Try and keep it as sterile as we can, and then we'll save this until it's ready to be pitched. So just while the water's finishing chilling, I just thought I'd show you my final numbers. So before we transfer into the fermenter, so post boil at the end 1046. As we saw there, I actually added another litre odd of water straight out of the kettle mid-boil, because the mid-boil was bang on my target, which was 1045. So added a little bit more, and that's pretty much got it bang on. So so yeah, pretty happy with that. But you can see how the numbers go throughout the whole mashing process and boiling process, and actually how doing it this way really does get it there. And I guess this would apply to small Braumeisters and the biggers, the 50s and upwards. So it's yeah, well worth bearing in mind. Right then, so we're here in the scary shed. Swear there's a spider flicking the bird at me somewhere. Anyway, so in fermenter, ready to pitch the yeast. End of the brew day bar the cleanup. Although to be honest, I'm going to go to the pub for a cheeky beer before I do the cleanup. I'll be alright with it. Right, so let's pitch the yeast and let's go. So this has been hydrating for about 20 minutes, so should be pretty good. So let's just pop it on my beer yeast receptacle over there. Pop the lid off. Fully aerated. And let's pitch the yeast in. Here we go. In she goes. Yeah, no dry bits left. Right, she's in there, and we'll be back in probably tomorrow morning. We'll come and check on it actually, see if it's got going as quick as it should. I'm going to ferment this a bit warmer, probably 20 degrees, 19.5 degrees, mainly because I've got a Vermont IPA that's in the brew fridge at the moment. Actually, you can see it just down, temperature down there, and I'm really keen on the Vermont IPA coming out well, so probably leave it at that. And yeah, pitch it. End of the brew day. Job done. Thanks for watching.